Your eyes open in the middle of the night, always at the same time, always with the same weight on your chest. You look at the clock and there it is, 3:33. It wasn't a nightmare that woke you. It wasn't noise. It was something invisible, something that no one else can feel. And then comes the question that corrodes your soul. Why always me? Why always at this exact time? What is so special, or cursed, about this moment when the world sleeps and you are forced to awaken? If you're watching this video now, it's not a coincidence. You were guided here because you carry within you a mark that few can see, a mark that burns, that scorches, that won't let you rest. And today you're going to discover what really happens at 3:33 in the morning, and why only the chosen ones are summoned at this portal between flesh and spirit. You know what I'm talking about. That sensation of being watched while everyone sleeps. That tightness in your heart that has no medical explanation. That anguish that medicines can't reach. Your friends sleep peacefully. Your family rests in peace. But you wake up with your heart racing, with your mind flooded with thoughts you didn't ask to have, with questions that no one can answer. And the worst part, you've already tried to explain. You've already tried to tell people that something calls you in the early morning, that there's an invisible force that pulls you from sleep precisely when you should be resting. But they looked at you as if you were crazy. They said it's insomnia, that it's stress, that you need to calm down, have some tea, turn off your phone before bed. But you know it's not that. You feel it in your spine, in your soul, that there's something greater happening. The nights have become your personal desert, a barren place where there's no human consolation, where words dry up before leaving your mouth, where even prayer seems to echo in the void. You've already cried tears that no one saw. You've already screamed in silence with your mouth closed while the world slept indifferent to your torment. And in those solitary early mornings, one question hammered your mind. Has God abandoned me? Why does he keep me awake while everyone else rests? The pain of the chosen one is not visible. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't leave marks on the skin, but it corrodes from within like a slow and silent poison. It's the pain of carrying a weight that no one sees, of fighting battles that no one acknowledges, of dying a little each night while everyone celebrates their lives under the light of day. You lost friends, lost opportunities, lost versions of yourself that never came back. And all of this happened in silence, without witnesses, without applause, without even a word of recognition. When you try to sleep, it's as if an invisible sword cuts the veil between this world and another. You feel presences, feel energies, feel the weight of something ancient, something that was waiting exactly for you, exactly at this moment in your life. And no one believes. No one validates your experience. You've become a stranger in your own family, a stranger among those who should understand you. But what if I told you that this awakening is not random? What if I revealed that the time 3:33 is not just a number on the digital clock, but a spiritual code that was implanted in you even before you were born? A code that activates something within your soul, something that was sleeping, waiting for the right moment to awaken? There are ancient texts, manuscripts that were purposely hidden from the major religions, scrolls that speak of the awakened ones of the third watch. These texts are not in your common Bible. They're not in Sunday sermons. They were removed, burned, buried by those who feared the power these words carried. But the chosen ones always knew, not through books, but through experience, through sleepless nights, through inexplicable suffering that no one else can understand. 3:33, 3 times the number of the Trinity, 3 times the number of divine manifestation, 3 times the portal between the human and the celestial. It's no coincidence that Christ died at 33 years old. It's no coincidence that this number appears repeatedly in moments of humanity's greatest spiritual transformation. And now, it's no coincidence that you wake up exactly at this time. But there's more. There's something that few know and that most don't want to accept. Between 3 and 4 in the morning, the veil between worlds becomes thinner. The protections of the day dissolve. The human guardians sleep, and the spiritual guardians take their posts. It's at this moment that the forces of darkness try to enter. But it's also at this moment that the chosen ones are called to the front line of an invisible war. You're not being awakened to suffer. You're being summoned. Like a soldier who hears the wake-up call in the middle of the night. Like a watchman who needs to be alert when all others have let their guard down. But here's the mystery that will shake everything you thought you knew. You're not being awakened by God. You're being awakened because your own soul recognizes the call. Because there exists within you a spark so ancient, so powerful, that it cannot remain asleep when the portals open. Now pay attention, because what I'm going to reveal now will completely change the way you see your suffering. When you wake up at 3:33, it's not your body that awakens first. It's your soul. Your spiritual essence recognizes a frequency, a vibration that crosses dimensions and reaches only those who were marked before entering this world. You were not chosen in this life. You were chosen before you were born, before your parents met, before your family existed. Your soul signed a spiritual contract, a pact that said, I'll go, I'll descend, I'll incarnate, and I'll carry the mission even if it costs me everything. And now in these tormenting early mornings, you're fulfilling that contract. Each time your eyes open at 3:33, you're responding to a call that your human ego forgot, but that your eternal essence never abandoned. The suffering you feel is not punishment. It's purification. It's not abandonment. It's preparation. You're being emptied of everything that is false, of everything that is superficial, of everything that doesn't belong to your true nature. Like golden fire, you're being refined, and the most intense fire always burns at the darkest hour of the night. There's a reason why you feel alone, a reason why people distance themselves from you, a reason why you lost what once gave you security. You needed to empty out. You needed to lose the human crutches to learn to walk with spiritual forces. Because a chosen one with many distractions is a weak chosen one. A chosen one surrounded by comfort is an asleep chosen one. And you cannot sleep. Not now. Not when the world needs those who can see in the dark. While you were awake at 3:33, things were happening that your physical eyes couldn't see. Spiritual battles were being fought over your head, over your family, over your future. Entities of darkness were trying to steal your strength, suck your energy, break your faith. But you resisted, even without knowing, even thinking you were just suffering from insomnia. You were resisting. Your awakened presence, your active consciousness at that sacred time, was already a form of spiritual warfare. And here's the truth that will set you free. God was never silent. You were simply trying to hear him with human ears. But God speaks at the frequency of the soul. He speaks through forced awakening, through the restlessness that won't let you settle, through the pain that pushes you closer to him when everything else fails. The silence you felt was, in fact, the necessary silence for you to learn to hear beyond words. But this is just the beginning, because there's an even deeper revelation, even more disturbing and liberating at the same time. A revelation about what really happens when you wake up at that time, about who is waiting for you on the other side of the veil, and about what you're being prepared to do in the days to come. If you've made it this far, it's because your soul recognized the truth even before your mind understood. Stay with me, because now we're going to enter the deepest portal, the place where only the chosen ones have the courage to look. There's a secret that has been kept for millennia, transmitted only from master to disciple, from prophet to prophet, a secret about the anatomy of spiritual time. Time is not linear for those who awaken. When you wake up at 3:33, you're not just at another time, you're in another dimension of time. You've entered a temporal rift where the past, present, and future meet at a single point. And in this rift, you have access to information, revelations, and powers that remain blocked during the day. How many times have you woken up at that time and suddenly knew something you shouldn't know? How many times did you feel that someone was going to contact you, and the next day that person appeared? How many times did you have a premonition about something bad that was about to happen, and days later the prophecy was fulfilled? This is not paranoia. This is not imagination. It's clairvoyance. It's the prophetic gift being activated at the only moment when your rational mind is weak enough not to block the signals. During the day, you're protected by your psychological defenses. Your ego acts as a filter, blocking 99% of the spiritual information that reaches you. But at 3:33 in the morning, that filter fails. The walls fall, and you're exposed, not only to the darkness, but also to the pure, raw, and unbearable light of spiritual truth. That's why you feel fear. Not because there's something evil pursuing you, but because your human soul is not accustomed to carrying so much light, so much information, so much power. The chosen ones are awakened at this time because they're being trained to sustain higher frequencies, trained to withstand revelations that would break a common mind, trained to become living bridges between heaven and earth, between spirit and matter. You are a walking portal, and every portal needs to be tested, refined, strengthened before fulfilling its function. But here's what no one told you. You're not alone in those early mornings. Even when it seems like there's no one, Even when the silence is deafening, there are presences around you, angels who don't appear with wings and halos like in paintings, but who manifest as sensations, as sudden thoughts, as that inexplicable peace that sometimes invades you out of nowhere. They're there, watching, guiding, protecting, and they can only approach when you're awake, conscious, available. Now I'm going to reveal something that will seem impossible, but that you'll recognize as truth deep in your soul. When you wake up at 3:33, you're being called to a meeting, a spiritual meeting that happens on a plane that your eyes don't see, but that your essence attends every night. It's in this meeting that the spiritual movements of the next day are decided. It's in this meeting that missions, protections, and warnings are distributed, and the chosen ones need to be awake to receive their instructions. You may not consciously remember what happened. You may not have clear visions or audible messages, but your soul receives everything. And the next day you act guided by intuitions that seem to come from nowhere. You make decisions that save your life without understanding why. You avoid places, people, situations, and only later discover that you avoided a tragedy. This is not luck. It's a direct result of what your soul received in the early morning. There's a reason why the chosen ones go through so much suffering before discovering their identity. Because no one can carry intense light without first having been emptied of darkness. No one can become a pure channel without first having been cleaned from the inside out. And that cleaning hurts. It hurts like pulling out deep thorns that grew inside you for years. It hurts like cauterizing wounds that never healed properly. But it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary. Your traumas were not accidents. Your losses were not random punishments from a cruel God. Each wound you carry is a door that was opened for light to enter. Each betrayal you suffered removed someone who would prevent you from fulfilling your purpose. Each night of solitude taught you not to depend on human validation, because the day is coming when you'll need to walk alone, guided only by the inner voice that was forged in those early mornings of silence. And here's the revelation that will break all your resistances. You're not being awakened to be saved. You're being awakened because you're the one who will save, not in the messianic sense, not as a savior who carries the weight of the world alone, but as a light amid the growing darkness, as someone who, having crossed personal hell, knows how to guide others through the same path, as someone who, having been broken and reassembled, understands the language of the shattered. This is the moment of truth, the moment when you need to decide whether you'll continue seeing your suffering as a curse, or whether you'll recognize it as the mark of your election. Because there's no chosen one without a scar. There's no anointed one without anointing through pain. There's no crown without a cross. And your cross has been invisible, silent, carried in the solitude of the early mornings when no one is watching. But something is changing. You feel it, don't you? A different energy in the air. A growing certainty that all this time of preparation is coming to an end. That the next phase is about to begin. That you won't wake up at 3:33 for the rest of your life as an endless torment, but rather until you're completely ready for what's to come. And what's to come will demand everything from you. It will demand the faith you built when God seemed deaf. It will demand the strength you developed when you were alone. It will demand the wisdom you gained through misunderstood pain. That's why you went through all of this. Not to be destroyed, but to be forged. Not to be abandoned, but to be set apart. Separated, sanctified for something greater. Your tears were not wasted. Each drop that fell in the dark was collected. Each prayer that seemed not to be heard was recorded. Each early morning when you wanted to give up but resisted was counted as victory. And now all of this is about to make sense. Not in the way you imagined. Not as material compensation or a fairy tale happy ending, but as such a profound revelation of your true identity that you'll never again doubt why you went through all of this. The pain was not meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. The silence was not abandonment. It was incubation. You were being gestated in a spiritual womb, and all gestation happens in the dark, in silence, in anguishing waiting. But the time to be born has come. The time to leave the cave, to leave the desert, to cross the last river is before you. Will you continue waking up at 3:33? Maybe. But now you know why. Now you know it's not a curse, but a calling. Now you know you're not alone in that dark room, but surrounded by presences that honor you for standing when it would be easier to give up. Now you know that each sleepless early morning is one more step on the ladder that takes you to the top of the sacred mountain. And when you get there, and you will get there, you'll look back and see that everything, absolutely everything, made sense. The falls taught you to rise. The rejections taught you self-sufficiency. The sleepless nights taught you to see what others don't see. You became exactly what the world needs. Someone who carries light because they knew the depths of darkness. Someone who offers hope because they survived despair. Someone who guides because they got lost and found the way back. You are a chosen one, not because you're better than others, but because you accepted to carry what most don't have the courage to carry. Not because you're stronger, but because you decided not to break when everything conspired to break you. Not because God loves you more, but because you answered the call when others turned their backs. If you've made it this far, your soul recognized every word that was said. You know this is not just another video. It's a confirmation. It's the answer you asked for in silence during so many early mornings. It's the sign you begged to receive, and now you've received it. I want you to do something with me now. Something simple but powerful. Go to the comments and write, "I am a chosen one." It doesn't matter if you still feel doubts. It doesn't matter if you still carry pain. Write these words as a spiritual decree, as a declaration of war against everything that tried to convince you that you were weak, broken, abandoned. Write, "I am a chosen one," and watch how something inside you moves, adjusts, rises. Subscribe to this channel and activate the notification bell, because I'm going to continue bringing revelations that no one else has the courage to speak. Share this video with someone you know who also wakes up in the early morning carrying an invisible pain. That person needs to hear this. That person needs to know they're not alone, that they're not crazy, that they're chosen. 3:33 in the morning is no longer a torment. It's your sacred time, your moment of connection, your portal of power. And the next time you wake up at that time, you won't ask, "Why me?" anymore. You'll declare, "Here I am, ready to receive, ready to fulfill, ready to be who I was destined to be." You are a chosen one, and your journey is just beginning.